Hi guys, today we're back to basics with strippy quilt blocks. And I know I've made a few, and some of the most well-known quilt blocks are made from strips. But I've just decided to do things a little bit different, so these are 3 easy peasy strip quilt blocks you've probably never heard of. Let's go! Now, if you're anything like me, you probably have a stash of fabric strips just lying around. And this one is, I guess, my most conservative fabric stash, because I have many of these. Because let's face it, there's always some leftovers from our sewing project, and that's particularly true with quilts and binding. Now, if you don't have any strip stash like this one, that's fine too, because all you'll need is a jelly roll. Well, a jelly roll will do you a whole quilt. We won't be doing as much today. Although I do suspect I'm going to get a little bit overexcited and won't be able to stop. Because here's the thing, strip patterns just look so much better as a whole. And while we won't be doing a whole quilt, I figured we could make like a couple of quilt blocks at a time. Okay, we're starting nice and easy with the Zigzag rail fence quilt block. And because this is just such an easy one, we will be doing 9 of them. We need 3 different colors, a light, a medium, and a dark. 1.5 inch by, I would say 40 inch wide strips. So these are my strips, and now I'm just going to sew them all together like so. Be back in a second. Okay, here is my very long strip. Now, if your leftovers aren't this wide, and they probably aren't, you can make this into different strips and even different colors, because now we're just going to cut these into squares, and it doesn't really make a difference how these start out as long as they finish in perfect little squares. Oh, and if you're doing different colors, just keep in mind that you will still need a lighter color for the middle fabric and then a medium and a darker color for the ends, because if you mix it all up, that zigzag pattern just won't show, okay? We have, of course, pressed the strip nice and straight, and now we are cutting 9 squares. Now this is 4 1/4, and that is exactly the size for the squares we'll be making. So 4 1/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and now it is puzzle time. Let's do our zigzag, shall we? Okay, now that we got to arrange all these trippy squares, this is our zigzag. Isn't it beautiful? And as simple as they get, right? And now we sew. Okay guys, now we need to press and trim as usual. Definitely. And voila! Our zigzag rail fence quilt block is ready. And yeah, I know this isn't so unusual, but come on, it's stunning. I just had to do it. Let me try that again though. Okay, so next is our up and down quilt block, and again, we will be making at least 4 of these, so we'll be able to get the full pattern effect, okay? And we will need 8 1.5 by 2 inch strips of dark fabric, kind of like squares really, 8 1.5 by 6.5 inch strips of that same dark fabric we used before, and 8 2 by 5 inch color fabrics, preferably different. I made pairs, 2 of each, and I think they are lovely. Now for this one, the first step really after cutting the fabric is to make our puzzle. We are going to make a U shape, if you will. Let me show you. Okay, so we have this one right here. We're going to go with this and with this. And then we are going to go again, see our U shape. So this is one block, okay, just one, and we're doing 3 more. Okay, and now for our second round, we let's start with this one. We go like this. This one though. Now I know there are a lot of up and down versions. I've seen a few, but this, you know, for me honestly, is the one I think looks the best. Because some are just, you know, rectangles, simple rectangles, others meet. You know, there are all sorts of versions, but for me, this is the cutest one. I'm just changing it last minute. This wasn't what I planned at all, but you know, we can do whatever we want. Ooh, I like this. Yeah, I think these ones look better, more finished looking, don't you think? Yeah, let's do these. Okay, now we sew. Okay, so let's trim all of these before we continue, because we definitely don't need any extra. Okay, so where were we? Okay guys, now we've sewn and we need to press and to trim, of course, if necessary. And you know, to me, strip quilt blocks are kind of what the magic of quilting is all about, if you will. You know, that you can turn a couple of leftover strips of fabric into something stunningly beautiful is still kind of mind-blowing to me, you know, even after all these years. The things quilters do with leftovers is just magic, plain and simple. Let's trim these. There's always something to trim, really, no matter how, you know, how much you've trimmed at the other stages, there's something left all the time. And that is it. Our up and down quilt block is complete and ready to go. On to our next one, which is the last of our 3. We are making an H quilt block, and again, we are making at least 4 of them because, you know, just an H by itself is kind of meh. Also, there are 2 versions of this quilt block. The one where the center of the H is of the same color as the rest of the H, and the one where it's a different color. And that's the one I'm making because it's more fun to make and because I think it just adds, you know, a little something to our block. Okay, pig, 5 different color strips, one for each age and the other one for the middle of our age. And I picked these 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is a color I picked for the middle, and we will need a little bit of white as well. So we have 2 strips of each color of 2 by 6 inches. And then we have our 5th color, which is, about 2 by 10 or so. And then we have our 2 whites that are also 2 by 10 because we are sewing them to our 5th color like so. Let's do this. Okay, so now that we have sewn these, we are going to cut 4 of 2 by 5 inches from this one, okay? Let's do this. And 4, okay. So now that we know that these are 5.5, it's time to make all our extra strips 5.5 as well. And again, I always much rather cut extra fabric than too little fabric and then not being enough, because that is a project killer, let me tell you. Okay, 4 and 8. And as you can see, I've chosen, some really cool colors so I can make a really good contrast with our 5th fabric, the one in the middle, that's a really warm color. So I think that will look perfect. Okay, it's puzzle time. Let's assemble our H's. These will look incredibly cute, and I'm only sorry I cannot make a whole quilt out of each of these patterns, but you know what, that's kind of how I feel for I would say all of my quilt blocks, all the quilt blocks I make for you guys. So it is what it is, Okay guys, let's sew this. Okay guys, before we continue, let's just press and trim these real quick, because as you can see, they're not exactly matching, and I think it will make it harder for us to sew them together if we don't make them exact squares, because we're mismatching them, right? Some are in horizontal, others are in vertical, and I think it really makes a difference. But other than that, we are almost there. We already have 4 H's, so it should be quick sailing from now on. There's always some trimming to do. Even if we've trimmed all the way so far, there's always something to do. And I get it, I am very lazy about it. And for years I wouldn't trim, and for years I regretted it at the end. But by then, it was too late to do something about it. Well, now I trim. Now I've learned the hard way that you need to trim. Okay, let's sew these up like this and like this. We will see. So this is what we have so far. And now we join them and we nest the seams in the middle like so. Nesting the seams is a very big thing, guys. And that is it, our H quilt blocks ready to go. And there you have it, guys. 3 completely different distashing quilt blocks made from leftover fabric strips that you can make in under 10 minutes that will just look stunning. I hope you had fun. I know I had a blast, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.